Hello, welcome to Digital Ascendancy, Powerline Info podcast series. Here on Digital Ascendancy, we're all about championing transformative digital solutions. And today, we have a returning guest, Mike Hilton, President of HPE Canada, and Powerline's Executive Vice President Curtis Deary. Join them as they have a discussion on some of the latest AI trends, some of the amazing things that people are doing with it, and how HPE Canada can help you with your AI journey. So let's jump on in.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. It's good to have you.
Good to be here, Curtis, and thanks for the invite.
Yeah, it's always good to catch up and, like we were saying earlier, go down a little bit of a rabbit hole of what's happening in the world of IT.
Indeed.
Well, listen, not all of our listeners know who you are, so if you could take a moment and just introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Sure, my pleasure. Again, it's great to be a partner with Powerland, HPE Canada, Hewlett Packard Enterprise Canada, and I'm the president of HPE Canada.
Well, we're lucky folks to have his time. I know how busy of a man he is, but he's always committed to the partnership and always, great to partner and come on and have these great conversations with us. So I'm looking forward to today's subject, which is obviously one of the hottest topics in the industry, being around artificial intelligence. Obviously, lots happening in that space, from both sides, right? We see it from our customers, you see it from, internal from HP, but also your customer lens as well. So I think we'll just jump right into that and talk about, I think, to begin with, what's happening from the HP landscape and some of the announcements that we've heard and some of the focus areas and strategies that they're using to help customers evolve around their AI strategy.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's most important is that this is not something new for HPE. So we've been in the high performance computing space for quite some time. Obviously, we accelerated that with the acquisition of Cray and Silicon Graphics, which put HPE in a position of really owning the technology that helps drive the modern broad AI initiative. And then also just even in the engineering of our frontline industry standard servers like ProLiant, our new Gen 11 servers have more GPU capacity and more importantly, more IO capacity, the ability to push more data into these computational engines to make sure that it's accessible for as many people as possible. So that's kind of been the foundation for HPE. But one of the things that we recognized is having the compute power is not enough, or having the storage is not enough for people to be able to truly leverage AI. And so we have made a number of very strategic investments in software in order to provide the tools to help manage the data, manage version control of the data, manage governance around the data, as well as the tools for developing AI models and managing those AI models over time, and then ultimately expanding the AI program within our customers' environment. And so those acquisitions that we've done have really built a collection of tools that now make AI, in whether it's a language model initiative, a predictive analytics initiative, a deep analytics initiative, accessible to almost any customer.
Yeah, when I think through, the journey with HP and the evolution of the technology, it's kind of, there's been AI underlining in a lot of the different technologies, whether it's from 3PAR, Nimble, all the storage had its own way of moving data around, right place, right time, right? And now it's like the hot word cloud. It's the same thing with AI. That was AI making a lot of those machine learning decisions, right? So it's cool to see the evolution happen of, where this is going. I embrace it every day. It's one of those technologies now that I don't think you can fight it, right? You just have to figure out how to embed it, use it in your personal life, in your professional life, and all that. And that's what I try to do. I use it every day, probably several times a day, to help me out when either I'm in a pinch or I need, something kind of rewritten or whatever it may be. There's always a great use case for it. And speaking of use cases, what are what are you seeing for trends where you're seeing really high value use cases of running AI, whether it's on the edge or internal? Can you maybe speak to that?
Yeah, obviously for me personally, I find one of the most valuable implementations of AI is in healthcare. We did some work during the pandemic with both McMaster University and University of Waterloo, where we actually used AI to build prediction models that were more accurate than a PCR test for COVID. So I could take a chest X-ray and I could actually do a determination of COVID diagnosis just from an AI model and a chest X-ray at a more accurate rate than a PCR test. And so those are, some examples, and we're seeing medical imaging in particular, one of the growing areas for how people are leveraging AI to create really positive outcomes. And, not to get anybody concerned, this is not about replacing the radiologist. This is about augmenting the radiologist, giving the radiologist a new superpower to be able to do more, to be more accurate, to be able to process images at a much faster pace. with greater accuracy. And so there's some really exciting things going on there. But if you go beyond healthcare, obviously we've seen huge potential in manufacturing around automating quality control and the quality process, whether it's discrete manufacturing and using video in order to look for defects, or whether it's just even in looking at the test results and being able to analyze test results to create better outcomes. Utilities are using it to do predictive maintenance on turbines or generators, as an example. We're seeing loss prevention opportunities, both on the loss prevention, or what in the retail they often refer to as slippage and spillage. This idea of, how do I manage fraud or shoplifting or things of that nature, but also on the demand side. How do I look at what my customers may or may not be interested in and create a better customer experience for them, both online and in the store, using AI models to assist that.
Yeah, and I've been seeing that. I saw a few that caught my own personal eye, where it's doing your digital twin of yourself, and then I create my own, my own locker, so that I can create my own wardrobe of how I want to see those clothes, order those clothes, and deliver those clothes, right? So you can see that whole Web3 space and meta world of I call it lifestyle 2.0 is being created, right? And creating a really unique user experience, right? Because it is kind of nice that a lot of times when people are so wanting to utilize e-commerce so much. I know for my build, it's hard to find clothes that fit this, short, wide sack shirt, right? So now that I can digital twin myself, I can see what that shirt looks like on, and when it shows up, I know what I'm getting versus it's a hit and miss with a return, right? So it's kind of nice to see again these use cases being applied, right? And we see it in just so many different areas. I'm seeing it in education now in the schools and what they're doing and how they want kids to learn and develop. And it's going to change curriculum. It's going to change a lot of things in a lot of positive ways. And that's why I try to coach people just to embrace it, right? Just try and
Yeah.
understand it, play with it, use it, and figure out where you can, embed it into your own lifestyle, right? Whether it's recipes, restaurants, like there's, so many fast things that it now can be so powerful in your hand, right? With, the access to something like ChatGPT, right?
Well, I think that you raise an interesting, if we've talked a little bit about sort of broad AI, digital twin, obviously a very exciting area. I think sometimes misunderstood, this idea of being able to either create a virtual version of something and run it through a series of simulations, or apply modeling to it to see what the outcome is before you do it in the real world. You talked about clothing as a great example. ChatGPT is another area of AI that we're really seeing a lot of interest in. People have played with it and they start to see the benefit of what are referred to as these large language models. This idea of taking a known universe of unstructured data, conversations, emails, documents, cases in a tracking system, and being able to put that all into this large language model, and then simply ask it questions. And what it will do is answer your questions based on all of this collective knowledge. Now, a lot of those systems have basically indexed the internet, right? They're using massive amounts of public domain information, which first of all is great if you're doing it on your own, wanting to kind of get the collective insight of the world. But if you're wanting to have it based on your data, your customers, your organization, those models don't really work. Those large language models that are based on the public domain. So, what we've worked really hard is to bring this concept of discrete or fine-tuned language models. These are smaller language models that don't require as much compute, don't require as much storage, use your existing data, so you don't have to replicate your data in order to do that, but are also the known universe of your organization. So now I can poll a question about one of my customers. I may want to know customer history, or I may want to answer a question that someone has asked. And I've now got the collective knowledge of my whole organization in this discrete or fine tuned language model. This is a growing area of interest for organizations, and they're seeing really huge value from that. You think about a customer service organization that historically will spend vast amounts of resources maintaining, frequently asked question files, or databases that frequently asked questions, or they may actually have call scripts to help guide one of their call center agents. Now I can actually change the direction of these conversations based on input from the customer. They can ask the questions into these language models, and the language model will help guide automatically. And it's always retraining and redeveloping itself. And so now you're, as a company, not having to manage or maintain these FAQ databases or these scripted call paths.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny. I just literally went through that use case. I just in between moves, so I was moving my services from one place to another, and I did it all through WhatsApp, through the, service provider. I didn't have to talk to anyone. I just gave them the info. You can see the automatic population to narrow down the questions before I talked to an agent. Once I got to the agent, it was quick though. I didn't have to wait in that queue, wait for that call, wait to get my data, right? So it was actually a great user experience. I was like, again, we can just see where this is going, right? And same with, when you look at the evolution of AI and the advancements it's going to get to with AGI, right? And having AI manage agents to hand out their tasks to go and do some of these works, right? So the scale is a huge thing. I think one thing people sometimes don't realize or forget with AI is it doesn't have emotion, it doesn't have empathy, right? It just makes data decisions, right? So, no matter what, I still feel there's always going to be that human element in there that needs to make, that empathy or emotional decision versus just a data driven decision. There's a lot of those use cases well too, but that's that line I think we're going to see between AI and the human interaction.
Well, I think your comment about being a data-driven decision is another important thing for many of your listeners today. AI is not for the startup, right? I mean, startups can benefit from it, but where the power really comes from is when you have large amounts of longitudinal data. Those businesses that have been in business for 40 years or 50 years, and they actually have all of the records, their customer records, their service records, things of that nature in a digital form. It doesn't have to be structured, it doesn't have to be in a database or an application. You can take all that unstructured data and feed it into the language model or feed it into the engine. That then gives that organization a competitive advantage over a newer organization that doesn't have that history guiding its AI model.
Yeah, and I mean, those are some of the areas that we're getting involved with creating workshops with HP services and our services to jointly help customers drive out some of these strategies, right? And drive out what data sets that they have that can really drive high value within their organization, right? And those are the benefits we see in the near future. In 2024 is focusing on these type of playbooks with our customers to help drive better efficiencies. And probably some of them are wanting to sweat out some of these assets, right? Because of the cost of the dollar and stuff like that. How do they bring some of this data from in the cloud, back on prem, run it on the edge, run it
Yep.
on their infrastructure, right? And that's why we see so much success in the Greenlake platform. Is again, keyword the platform, building out infrastructure as a service, building out platform as a service, right, and building out all these additional services for our customers on a single platform, fully operationalized. The benefits have been huge.
Well, I think that's the other core message to take to our collective customers today is that there are many, and I mean hundreds, of quote unquote AI science fair projects that have been initiated in the public cloud ecosystem. And it's
Yeah.
been a great place to experiment with AI or experiment with machine learning, but it becomes very expensive to roll it out into production. And what we're trying to do together is to demonstrate to people that the public cloud, it doesn't have to be the destination to roll out an AI initiative for an organization. There are many ways in which we can be much, much more cost effective on premise, or to your point, even at the edge. That's the other thing that people sometimes forget is you need lots of computational power sometimes to train the AI model, but to run the AI model, you can run it almost anywhere. And you can even run it in a disconnected mode. And so, you may be someone that works in the natural resource sector and you want to have some AI for safety in the mine site or at a camp in forestry, and you only have satellite connectivity, you can actually run AI models locally without internet access. That's one of the benefits of inference models and the ability to then run it on lower grade hardware. It's one of the things that make activities like autonomous vehicles very successful. That autonomous vehicle, although connected, isn't always making AI decisions in the cloud. It's often making those AI decisions locally, and you can run that locally. And so, this becomes an important part of the dialogue because a lot of people have abandoned their AI ambitions because they started in the public cloud and then found it was just becoming too expensive for them. It's now time to go and revisit that and how we can bring AI into your organization, have it on premise at a much, much lower cost.
Yeah, and I think that's the great message that is a takeaway for the listeners, right? Is that HP built a full blown platform. They're no longer just an infrastructure company; they're a platform based company, right? And again, that's the investment and strategy that I like to lean in with you guys is the vision that you guys have created, not only in the execution of it with acquisitions and stuff like that. I've seen the value just in the customer gains that we've had with the success of rolling out the Greenlake platform and building off of it. So, I mean, to all the listeners today, I would say that's the takeaway. Get HP involved, get Powerline involved to come and help you on your journey whether that's, from a digital twin, from an AI, or help operationalize their IT, make it most cost effective to have true hybrid journey. That's what we want to bring as the partnership between HP and Powerland. So to that note, I think, Mike, we should probably end, because I know me and you could go on and on various different subjects. Always love having you on so we can have your knowledge and lens that you have and the experience that you always bring. It's, I highly value it. So I definitely appreciate the time, and we look forward to the next one that we share together.
Thanks very much, Curtis. And again, really appreciate the partnership with Powerland. It's one of the things that makes us a better company. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. And remember to like and subscribe. And hit the bell notification to get the latest and greatest videos from Powerland when they come out. Follow us on social media at Powerland_CA on Twitter, Powerland Canada on LinkedIn to hear about the latest and greatest in IT solutions.